I'm going out, I gotta go. I'll bang-a-rang on the radio. So turn it up, I'm telling you. I think I'm ready for something new. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza.
You're listening to Pop Punkin' Pizza with Jacques LaMore.
Hey, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. I'm Jacques LaMore, and before we dive into today's episode, I have something really, really embarrassing to share. So, just a full disclosure on this episode with the Methadones. When we recorded this episode in Chicago in the basement of Reggies, I made a boo-boo. And I didn't realize it until I sat down to edit this episode. One of the mics apparently was not turned on. Not sure how that happened. I'm still trying to go through it in my head. Was it a switch? Was the fader not up? What exactly was it? And I can't figure it out. But regardless, one mic was off during this conversation, which means we don't actually hear from Simon or Mike from the Methadones on this episode. I feel like such a jackass, and I am so sorry because Simon and Mike were such nice guys. Of course, all the guys in Methadones are nice, but I felt particularly bad for Simon and Mike. So I just want you to know that if you guys are listening, Simon or Mike, it was nothing personal. I just screwed up, and I'm so sorry about that. So just to give you a heads up on that before we get into our episode with the Methadones today. Got to make sure that doesn't happen again. Now, we're only human, right? All right, so everyone is on the couches. We're in the basement of Reggies in Chicago. I've got Connie's Pizza over here, requested cheese. So that's what we got. But I heard, Dan, you're not going to be partaking today, right?
Hell no. Talk into your microphone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Hell no. No, I'm on a keto diet, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, see? 0 carbs in this thing.
Okay.
I'm going to pick up the cheese, and I'm going to have a good time.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, that's the best part anyway, is the cheese, honestly. At least in my opinion.
All right.
So let's go around and just introduce everyone so we know who sounds like who. We'll start with you, Dan.
I'm Dan. I sing and I play guitar.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Simple, short and to the point.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm Pete. I play bass. Yeah, that's pretty much it too.
Okay. I think we got
I
a
do the
trend.
weird
We have a
stuff.
trend going on.
I
Okay.
do the dumb shit.
That's what bass players are for, though, right?
You know, you gotta have that guy. There, you always need that one guy.
Someone's got to do it. All right. All right. Nice to meet all of you guys.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
first time sitting down, and Methadones and pizza and Connie's Pizza.
Connie's Pizza.
So
It's a Chicago
yeah,
staple.
Simon, you can start with it, man. Yeah,
That's a South Side staple. See, I
It
grew up on the
is.
north side of the city. We don't have Connie's Pizza. Or we
Okay.
didn't. They might now, but
so
we didn't have.
would
that on the north
North
side.
Side be more like? What is the chain of the North Side?
Chains.
Would it
Of
be?
course, we had like Giordano's and stuff.
Luminati.
I was gonna say,
Lou
was it?
Malnati's like a downtown thing.
Yeah,
But they're beyond downtown though.
They are
They're-
now, like
they're
in the suburbs
everywhere.
and that. But I grew
Yeah.
up in the city on the north side, and we didn't have. There weren't really any pizza chains. Giordano's was probably the only one that I can think of.
There's this
that
really
had them
good
on the
one
north
though
side.
called Domino's. You ever heard of it?
Let me try it.
But they got like a competitor called Little Caesars. Man, they really give them a run for their money.
you're on a keto diet. So
That's
for
right.
those that aren't familiar, keto diet is pretty much zero carbs,
That's
right?
right. No
And-
carbs.
But fat is okay,
Yeah,
right?
fat is welcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before the keto diet,
Uh-huh.
are you a bigger fan of Little Caesars or Domino's?
Oh, no, man, I'm talking out of my ass. I think that's I think Little Caesars is awful. Yeah.
The people that love Domino's, and I'll probably, if we ever get a sponsorship with Domino's, it'll never happen because I never saw the appeal to it. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
What I don't like,
You know what it is? It's like you say you played a show and like you drank a lot and it's like 3 a.m. and you have some Domino's pizza and then you go to bed and you wake up feeling horrible, but at least you had something to eat before you went to bed. That's kind of what I make out of Domino's. In any other situation, Domino's doesn't need to
Yeah,
exist.
you wouldn't. Otherwise, you wouldn't even eat it.
and
yeah,
it's-
otherwise you wouldn't eat it. Same with Little Caesars. My kids like Little Caesars.
they do. They
Mine
love
too.
Little
That.
Caesars.
Mine too.
But there's something about Domino's and their, I guess it's some type of garlic spice they have in it, and it just gives it's just like a bad aftertaste in my mouth. And I feel like even if I brush my teeth, I just can't be rid of it. And it's just, I don't know, there's something about that just with it.
yeah.
I've had Dante's several times. That's good
They're
stuff.
really good.
It's,
Pequods for me. You know, been there?
I have not been to Pequods yet.
Dish, yeah,
I've heard nothing
great.
but good things about
Yeah.
Pequods.
Pequods is awesome.
And I know there
Pequod's
is a
awesome.
Pequods nearby Reggies here, I think, too, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
It's not that close. It's at Clybourne and
Yeah,
Webster, so it's a
Oh,
couple
okay.
miles
A
away.
little bit.
It's
yeah.
kind of like a little west of Lincoln Park,
Okay.
kind of
There's like
between
a-
Lincoln Park and Bucktown.
Thin crust. Remember Marie's Pizza? I like quite a bit.
Where's that?
It's up in kind of like where I used to live.
By where
like,
you? Yeah. okay.
off like Lawrence Avenue.
So,
Like thin crust, but just good, great. Been around for like 60 years or something like that.
and
Oh,
you're more on the thin crust than the thick crust, right? I mean,
um,
I feel
I
like we as Chicago always
Yeah.
get, oh, it's deep dish. And it's like, well,
Right.
actually,
right.
we like,
I'm all about the stuffed.
you
not
like
deep
the
dish.
stuff.
There's a difference here.
There is a difference.
There's
yes.
a difference between deep dish and
Yes.
stuffed.
Yeah.
I love a good Giordano's stuffed spinach mushroom. That's my favorite. I love that. But that's
I think like you get into
That's like, you
these
eat one or two
pizza
of those,
wars
you're done.
get kind of ridiculous to me. Like, who's better, Chicago or New York?
New York.
And
Yes.
it's like people say, "Oh, it's not even pizza. That deep dish. What? Call it what you want to call it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, just like it's good. Like call it pizza. Call it like a something else.
No,
You
it
know,
is
like,
ridiculous.
It's like the word doesn't matter to me as much.
it's more like a
as-
pie.
Yeah, maybe you want to call it a pie or whatever you want to call
most
it, man.
most
Yeah,
New
you
York,
know?
yeah, most New Yorkers that I've met that's what they call it. They call it like, you're like, that's like eating or no, they don't call it a pie. They call it a casserole. They call it a casserole. That's what they call like stuffed pizza or deep dish pizza.
That's what you have on
casserole.
Thanksgiving, man. Fuck
Yeah.
that.
That's what I say, man.
Green bean casserole.
Yeah, here's a green, grandma rolls out the green bean casserole.
No, thank
know?
you. I've never been a fan.
What you guys don't know is that St. Louis has a pizza too with Provel cheese on it. Provel cheese.
I don't even know what that is.
See, I kind of
What is
So-
Provel cheese?
That's I've never.
it's like no, it's not mayonnaise. You
I don't know
asshole.
what it is. I seriously don't know what that is.
Mayonnaise. You don't know
No,
what
it
it is.
I mean, it obviously sounds similar to provolone, but the name does. I don't know if that means the cheese necessarily tastes like
Yeah.
provolone.
Well, it's like a cracker crust. It's real super thin.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I like that.
Where's right? Because Dan, you're in the St. Louis area.
Yeah, I'm like down like in southern Illinois. Yeah, I'm about 45-minute drive from St. Louis.
I'm interested in this cheese though that you're talking about
Yeah,
on this,
yeah.
and it's a St. Louis thing, or
yeah,
is
it's
it
a
just
St. Louis thing? It's like I want to say it's a mix of cheeses, but I don't want to get this wrong on
Mhm.
your show here. So like it is good, kind of smoky, and it's kind of the sauce is real sweet, and
Do you like it?
it's got a real like crisp like crust, and it's kind of all kind of balances out together. It's good.
So with the Methadones, I was just thinking about this on the way here. Is there a difference between melodic punk and pop punk, or are they the same thing?
I don't know. Like,
Maybe not anymore.
who wants to answer this? Should I answer this? Yeah. We all can answer this.
Because there is a fine line.
Yeah. Pete, like back, like when we were growing up, like we would call it the punk with melody. You remember that?
Well, see,
Descendants.
yeah, like I wouldn't call Naked Raygun pop punk, but they're very melodic.
But they're melodic, right?
They're very melodic and hooky.
I felt that way about the
I wouldn't call 'em
Descendants. I
pop
felt
punk.
that way about Naked Raygun. I felt that way definitely with the Ramones. I felt that way with the Jam. I felt that way with a lot of bands.
I think there was a term that developed later on, like in the 80s
Well,
or
I can-
something,
I-
late 80s maybe.
I
don't
can
know.
kind of remember a Screeching Weasel article, and it was right after the album My Brain Hurts, and it says Screeching Weasel is pop punk, and we're like, what the hell does that mean? And then I hadn't even heard the term before. I actually have the clip, the newspaper clip, like in storage, and I was just looking through it like not too long ago, and kind of going, oh yeah, I remember that. But at the time, we didn't really. It didn't have a word.
I never heard that term until like
Right,
1990 or something.
Something maybe
Before that, I never heard that
this
term.
was about 91, 92 when this happened with this article. Like so, and then it just kind of I just heard bands being called pop punk after
Yeah,
that.
after that. But before that, I mean, think
You
about
know,
like the Buzzcocks and stuff.
That's what
That
I'm
was never
saying.
called pop punk.
I was that. I mean, if you were gonna like talk, I mean, I kind of think if you want to talk about definition, maybe the Buzzcocks are pop punk.
Yeah,
Pop
but
then.
it wasn't
Sorry, I
called
can't
that.
talk.
It's a lot of peas.
You know,
a lot of
I
peas.
thought
Pop,
the
punk, and
undertones were
pizza.
kind
Yeah,
of
exactly.
the undertones are pop punk then in that sense. You know, a lot of bands. So, and I don't know. For me, I just was really getting into that. Like, I started listening. I went from metal, then I went to hardcore, and then I went to, and like I heard Ramones and Descendants, and I've always kind of liked hooks since I was like a little kid. I just love a good hook. And those bands kind of took the energy and they took the hook and they put them together and they had the attitude, but without, I don't know, like it was just working for me. You know what I mean? So like when
It was easy to consume.
I got more and more into that kind of thing. And then at the time, and you probably remember this, Pete, a lot of people in Chicago were really into hardcore at that time.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
Me.
Yeah,
I was.
And
I
I
still
was
am.
too. And I was too, but I'm just kind of
You're talking
had
in like the 80s, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
had
hardcore
a
was.
preference of that stuff more than like say the hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
But I started listening to hardcore first.
Yeah.
But
You
even
know,
the
and then
hardcore
that went
bands
to
had
that.
typically had a hook in their song. Even a band like Slayer puts a repeating
Yeah.
line in there, like what
Yeah.
you would
But
call
I
a
think a
hook
lot
or
of bands
whatever, you know?
lost that,
So
in my opinion.
I think now, yeah. I mean, I hate to sound like these kids now, like
Yeah,
an old
yeah,
man,
yeah.
but I do notice that when I sometimes with certain styles of newer music, there's no hook in there. I'm like how do you remember that?
You
know?
gotta have a.
Hey,
hook in
there's
there.
this band. They got the song. It's called. Oh, I can't hum it to you. Oh, that's right.
I just felt like it was.
I forgot. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm just not into that. I like I don't know. It's one of those things where and like I said before, the Ramones kind of combine the two things for me. So, and I thought Naked Raygun did too, in a different way, But that was big. For me.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I just felt like it was important to have this conversation with a band like the Methadones because I think a lot of the younger generation kind of, since they weren't, I don't want to sound like an old man or anything like that, but since they weren't around then, I feel like somewhere along the line, melodic punk became pop punk. Like the terms were just kind of
Yeah.
interchanged. Like
Yeah.
melodic punk was pop punk until the mainstream kind of started. They didn't use the term melodic punk. They used the term pop punk.
I kind of consider us kind of a pop punk band.
Yeah.
But not like kind of different at the same time, kind of because of those things that we had just talked about.
Weren't you listening?
So-
the fuck?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound like that.
I was waiting to hear about the Chromags.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to talk about?
Oh, that's
I'll
funny.
talk to you about the Chromags.
Well, let's talk about the Chromags.
One of my favorite shows I've ever seen. Well,
They were good.
I saw them several times.
Yeah, I saw
in
them
the
a couple
80s.
times too.
No, that was
They're
Green
good.
Day.
Oh,
The great-
yeah.
Green Day Chromags.
No,
So let's,
He
what?
said, "Where did you park?" And
Pete always has
I used to rave about. I went to see Green Day at the Vic when Dookie first came out, and I parked right out front. Like,
Yeah,
right.
and he talks
out
about
front.
it to this day. It's like 30 years later.
It
And
is.
like he
It's
talks
amazing.
about his parking spot that he got right in front of
I
the Vic
vaguely
Theater,
remember the show,
I was gonna
but
say-
goddamn, that parking was fucking awesome.
I was at
which is
How was the
about
show?
next to impossible to get that spot. So I kind of understand why
that's
you wouldn't
understand my
remember it,
excitement.
How did
because
you-
it's like right directly in front of the Vic Theater. You're not going to get that parking spot like
Do you have
ever.
a picture?
No,
Did you
I
take a
mean,
picture?
They didn't have
He got
cell
very
phones back
lucky
then,
that
dude.
day.
No,
This
they
is
didn't.
Like,
But you might
long
have had
time
like a disposable camera or
He
something.
got the best parking
bet I
spot.
did.
I was
I did. I got
never-
the
it-
best
it-
parking spot. The best.
Never to repeat again.
Every time I go, I look.
It's
Yeah.
probably not even a
Yeah,
parking
yeah.
spot anymore.
Oh, it's probably not. They probably made it into an
Yeah.
illegal spot now.
Yeah.
Whatever.
How did you get that parking spot?
Dude, I
Did
am
you just
the king.
you just
I
showed
am
up
the
super
king
early?
of finding
Did-
fucking parking.
Did
in
you like
Chicago.
camp out for hours or
No,
something?
dude. I
No.
drove up.
Did-
I saw it open and I parked.
Yeah,
Like,
he just got
It was
lucky.
just luck, dude. I'm the king of scamming.
You got real lucky.
Scamming
that
a good
day.
parking space, man. I grew up my whole life on the north side, so like
Oh, that would.
I know
there you
were
go.
the secret spots are. It
Those
really
were in the
is.
days when like Green Day were just starting to break. Too.
Dookie had just come
Like,
out. They hadn't
hadn't-
blown up yet.
They
Yeah.
hadn't like really. They were always pretty popular, actually, even before that
I
album.
remember,
But,
yeah,
like
seeing them at McGregor's. Those
Right.
shows were packed.
those shows were packed, but they were starting to go beyond that level and they're like kind of going to like around a 1,200, 1,500 capacity kind of venue type of level, you know. And yeah, so like there would be a lot of. It was probably sold out, I would imagine.
I don't know if it was sold out or not.
But you gotta, yeah. So like, he talks about it to this day. I can tell you another really
But I can
fun
tell you about
fact
that
about
parking
Pete.
space.
You want to hear a really
I
fun
wa- I
fact
wanna
about
hear
Pete?
There's just so much about Pete.
Pete
I feel
grew
like
up
this
with
is
Billy
the-
Corgan, like
okay.
from the Smashing
Yes,
Pumpkins,
yeah.
and he once
and I told him no one's ever gonna buy a record from a band called the Smashing Pumpkins.
He probably.
that's a true
Those
story.
are my exact
And you know
words. Oops.
I think Billy really showed him. What do you think?
I think he did, and I think you missed out on a big
I
money making
might have.
He
opportunity.
showed you, man.
Yeah, like
Not
did you?
gonna make
I
go
can't
anywhere
deny
with a
that.
name like
Did
the
you-
Smashing Pumpkins. I
I also
think,
said no one would buy a band record by a band called Screeching Weasel. So,
Oh,
yeah, look at that. Boy, he's fucking 0 for 2
so
here.
no one's
isn't
gonna
he?
buy any of their records.
Oops, shut off his mic. Just you know, like he doesn't need to talk ananymore.
Were-
Listen,
so when you
he's
told
wrong about everything.
Billy Corgan that, were you playing at the time? Were you possibly?
Well, you got to.
play-
You're
I was in the-
going back.
Okay,
way,
so
you're going way
I
back.
used to sell newspapers on the corner of Lawrence and Austin, and he worked. There was a record store, a used record store there called Record Hunt, and he worked in there. He was the
You know the story,
I
don't
don't know
you?
the cashier, and he.
Papers on a corner.
I
You
don't
know that?
Yeah, with my little
Did you
derby
not
hats.
know that?
That's right.
It's
Fuck.
How long has he known this
1936.
motherfucker?
Extra,
You didn't know
extra.
that? You didn't know he sold newspapers on the corner?
Extra.
Oh my God!
Oh,
Yeah,
no, he sold
it's
newspapers
It's
on the corner.
1936.
Anyway, better
Yeah.
than selling ass.
What is like the you know, what do they do? Like
Extra.
extra.
With my little
Pete was a
derby.
guy on the corner like fucking ringing
That
bells
was
or
me.
whatever the hell they do.
Presidency.
You guys are assholes. Anyway,
Extra.
so he worked at the record store. I worked out front selling the newspapers,
Okay,
and
so
he
you
would
were.
come out and talk to us, or we would go in the record store to keep warm when it was cold, and we would talk to him. And we called him Hippie Bill, and because he had long hair and he looked like a hippie. He was a really strange dude. But
Remember that record store, by the way.
Did you ever have a conversation with him after Smashing
No,
Pumpkins?
I never saw him after the band got popular. But I remember, like, we used to go
Trying to
his
avoid
dad.
him.
His
At
dad
this
lived
point,
around the
he's
corner
like that
from me.
That guy? Oh, that redhead. Yeah,
His dad lived
I'm
around the
going near
corner
that
from
guy.
me, and we would go to his dad's house, and he would like play music, and we would jam and shit. And his dad was a fucking phenomenal musician. His dad was like a jazz musician or something, and there was just there was nothing in the house but instruments, just about, Yeah. And
So
so
in-
we would go over there and hang out. and
Yeah,
all
so
that.
when Smashing Pumpkins needed a bass player, you were not on the list.
he no, he didn't ask me.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
he knew before he even put the band together, he knew he wanted a girl to be the bass player. That's what he said. So I was like, why? He's like, he just thought it would be cool, or I guess, I don't know,
Yeah.
to have a girl as the bass player. That's what he wanted. And that's what he did.
So look at that.
Wow.
How about that?
And there you have it.
Yeah, and now, but
And
I
did
get
you know I got another little
I
factoid for you.
about Pete. Is this another Pete story?
You know what? One of our first bass players was in Rise Against.
Okay.
Yeah, we like to kind of razz
The
him a little bit.
The Methadones, or
We kicked him out.
No,
what?
wait.
Okay, what's
Yeah.
is
That's
is
We
Joe.
didn't kick him out.
is he?
No,
Currently,
he's awesome. I love Joe.
is he
But
currently,
like every once in a while, we'll say, "Oh, you really messed up, Joe.
Right. We'll
Could have
make
stayed with the
jokes saying we kicked
Methadones.
him out.
Could have stayed.
yeah,
No,
and
you
you could
left.
have helped
He had
us
to go on and
get
You
that
left.
Rise Against
playing Rise Against.
status. Yeah.
Yeah,
How,
right.
how dare he? How dare he
Exactly.
do
He
that?
missed out.
He did.
Is he still in Rise Against?
Yes.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
like-
But
Dude.
it's kind of funny because every once in a while, like just thinking about it, it's just like I don't know. We've known him forever, so it's kind of
Yeah, since
one
he
of
was a
those
kid.
things where it's just like I don't know. You just don't really think about it that much, but at the same time, when you do think
When I
about
do
it, it's
see
kind of
him
like
still,
yeah,
I see him
this
here and
guy's
there,
kind of
and
like a
I don't
big
think
deal.
much about it. I'm like, that's just Joe.
Yeah, right. I'm the same way.
He plays in a band
It's a
too.
funny story to tell, though, isn't it?
So how long was he in the Methadones for?
Oh, probably
It was
a couple
very-
months or
yeah.
something. Like not, he was
that
starting
long.
Rise Against at the same time, and he was going to like bounce back and forth, and it you know, you can't really do that. When
No.
you got the plan that he did was to kind of go balls out and go on tour and all that. You know what I mean? So
And he did it.
It's just kind of funny looking
Uh-huh.
back at some of these things. Sometimes we're old now, you know, like so we're like looking back and. Just, you want to know any more war stories?
If you want to spill them out, Dan.
Well,
Well, let me tell
tell
there you go. Back in the day. No, actually, I think that's all the stories we got. I just the Billy
We have more
Corgan thing always
stories.
makes me laugh. To this day, it just tickles me. We've kind of razzed you about that for years now, haven't we?
Uh
He showed you, didn't he?
huh. He showed me.
He did.
That's for sure.
Speaking of the past and history and things like that, it's 15th anniversary, a very
Yeah.
important 15th
Yeah.
anniversary. Should we
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about that? Record, vinyl.
Yeah,
So,
it's coming.
yeah,
World record that came out 15 years ago.
yes, yeah, and we're gonna talk about it right now.
All right.
No, I know what you're
I-
talking about.
Was there? I was trying. Was there a Jimmy Eat World Record 15 years ago? I was trying to think. Oh gosh, yeah, and Dan, you were talking about the vinyl. I think before we started recording, or we were talking about just vinyl in general. You know, about
We
different-
were.
yeah, different sounds and how. And that's one thing I was thinking about on the way here is I never thought it would come down to like you're either streaming something or you're listening to it on
Yeah.
vinyl.
I know. Same.
It's
Yeah.
the CD is still around, but even just going back 10 years ago, the CD still had more relevance. But 20 years, I think, is what you were talking about. 20 years ago, the CD was
Yeah, that was kind of reigning supreme. The CD. We still do sell CDs, and the thing that's nice about CDs is that they're pretty cheap to make.
yes.
Where vinyl is not cheap to make. So I kind of like that part of it. That said, you know, it's on its way out, I think.
You think
Unless 20 years from now it comes back again like vinyl did.
yeah.
And my kids go, Dad, you got all these CDs in the basement. I go, oh, yeah, I almost threw those out. And I'm like, you know, old and about ready to die or something.
I wonder if
So-
it will.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But we said the same thing about vinyl, though.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
thought vinyl was done and came back. So
I
yeah.
do miss opening up a record and looking at the lyrics.
I
and
gotta. I'm
the,
sorry.
No, the artwork on the inside, or seeing who produced it.
Yeah, I mean, when you guys were kids, would you buy a record just from the cover? Because I did.
Oh, yeah.
I did it
Absolutely.
all the time.
Absolutely.
What records can you think of one that comes to
Well,
mind?
Any Iron Maiden.
Oh,
record.
Iron Maiden, anything really. I remember I don't remember what I was maybe 11 years old, and I ended up hating the record like crazy. Like Styx Paradise Theater. There's something about it like just took my eye in, and I'm
I
like,
remember that.
I'm gonna buy that record, and so I did, and I brought it home. I'm like, this sucks, but the cover fucking.
It was
It
awesome.
took me
so
in.
You
I don't
bought
know
it.
why. It's not even that. There was something that resonated me when I was 10 or 11 or whenever age I was. It just kind of dragged me in. But I really like those album covers from when I was growing up. I think they're great. Like a lot of the hard rock, like Pink Floyd had really great album covers. Even those first 2 Def Leppard albums, they're kind of cool looking. You know what I
still
mean?
Listen to those.
Yeah,
Those
they're
two
cool
records
looking. Or the
fucking
Scorpions, right?
amazing. Oh, the Scorpions had great record covers. Do you
r-
remember Love Drive? They
I
had
do.
to change the cover,
Yeah, I do.
but now
Or,
it's
like
but now the cover
another
is now you
band
can
like
see the original
Rush,
cover again.
right? Like you'd see those covers, you're like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? But you were fascinated. You would just kind of look at it.
Fly By Night had that big fucking owl.
You had the
on it.
big owl, yeah.
That was so.
I
cool.
had all that shit. I was buying records because of the cover, you know.
Can you think of a record in particular, though, of a band that you had not heard of before, but you bought it just because of the artwork? So not
Yeah,
talking like
Iron
Iron
Maiden.
Iron Maiden,
So-
Slayer, the
Yeah.
Hell Awaits by
So, like,
Slayer.
you
I
had-
bought that just for the cover.
you had not heard of
I'd
Slayer.
heard of them. I hadn't
but
heard
it had
them.
one song.
Same with Iron Maiden. Like, just saw the cover. It was like, what's that? You know, I mean, we're like, I was about 12, maybe, you know?
Yeah.
Just thought it was cool looking. You know, and a lot of bands kind of, even some of those early, I don't know, even Corrosion of Conformity or the
Oh, yeah.
Exploited and those
The
bands,
Animosity record cover.
yeah,
That's awesome.
they there was something even about those bands. Even I was like, what's this? Like it's just the logo kind of drew you in. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
Oh, the Black
album
Sabbath
cover's so
albums were
cool.
cool. Yeah, those were great. Like I would stare. And you know what? The thing about Black Sabbath, you put that record on, you felt like you were doing something wrong, and it felt good. You know what I mean? Like
Fuck yeah.
Sabbath, Bloody
Heaven and Hell is
Sabbath.
still one of
You're
my
like,
favorite albums ever.
Yeah, it's good.
Heaven and Hell
It's
is
true
so good.
because
Heaven and Hell's great.
Diary of a Madman or Blizzard of Oz. That's a
Yeah.
great album cover.
It's same with Diary of a Madman. You got
Yeah.
the little kid going,
Yeah.
yeah, I fucking, he's fucking looking all. I don't know. I like that shit though.
Yeah,
That's great.
I think.
Twisted Sister to get the big bone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Stay hungry.
You
You
got
know,
Dee
like, it's
Snider
got,
with his
like-
giant hair.
Yes. Yeah.
You go back and watch those videos, man. They're pretty badass.
hmm
I like them.
My kids watch those all the time. They love Twisted
my kids
Sister.
actually like metal more than punk.
Yeah, mine do too.
Did you kind of introduce them to metal then?
Well,
or-
I played in punk, in the, they were all right with it, but when metal, my my daughter, she's like, Dad, play Fast as a Shark by Accept.
Oh, that whole album's great.
Oh,
yeah,
my God.
it
That
is
whole
great.
album is amazing.
She asks for it constantly, and she runs around the table. Fast as a shark, she's a killer on the attack. Runs around the table, and they just all the time, they love that song.
I'll have to bust that one out for my
Yeah,
kids.
you'll like it.
See
It's
how
a
that
good
goes.
one.
My
It
oldest son
holds-
likes
it
a
holds
lot
up.
of metal stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. I
I'm-
think I was the same way when I was a kid. I liked metal, and then then punk kind of came later.
It's interesting because I feel like that's backwards to how it is for a lot of young kids. It's like it starts with punk, and then at least that's how it was for the peers surrounding me in my life. It was always like we all started on punk, and then they went to metal, and they
Oh.
looked down upon the punk music. Like,
It
oh,
was we did and I can tell you why that is too, because in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, you had a couple record stores. They didn't have a lot of the underground stuff. You got the mainstream metal stuff. So you start off listening to, say, the Scorpions and Iron Maiden and stuff like that, right? And then there were a couple magazines. Hit Parader was one. You guys remember Hit Parader? Kerrang, Circus. and they would have little ads in there that say, I can remember seeing ads, and there was one. God, and now the label is escaping me for Metallica's first
Like
album,
Megaforce.
Megaforce, and
Or
they would
Metal
have,
Blade.
yeah, and Metal Blade. So they would have like these little ads in Circus and Kerrang, and so you're at like the grocery store in the suburbs, and you're going, well, who's that? That looks kind of. And again, you're drawn by the cover, so you go and you figure out where this record is, and then. And I'm sure they have the same kind of thing going on. So you find the Metallica record. I'm blown away by it. Then I'm seeing that they're wearing Misfit shirts, Discharge, all this. I'm like, well, what's that?
Broken Bones.
Right. I'm like, well, if these guys say it's cool, I guess I better listen to that. So then I listen to Misfits. Now I'm blown away. Now I'm listening to Misfits. Now I'm listening to Minor Threat. Then Minor Threat and the Dead Kennedys and the whole, and then all that opens up. And then, so it was all that before kind of going back into the what we would define as maybe pop punk, right?
Yeah.
That's my trajectory. I think these guys have a similar one. But like I said, I just
Exactly the
always
same.
really liked.
Exactly the same.
Thank
Shout
you.
out to
Thank you,
Katie. Katie's
I just
awesome.
really always liked pop hooks, even when I liked, and I still like all that stuff. I like a lot of that metal, but I'm just a sucker for the hooks.
Well,
like
and
if you got the hook, I'm like really just like, yeah, I want the hook first, and then maybe the attitude and the sound like second. That being said, I mean, a lot of those bands had, I don't know, they hooked me. I don't know, maybe they didn't hook other people, but
Dan, kind of going back to what you were talking about
Yeah.
with having those pop hooks
Right.
in your songs. I
Yeah.
mean, going back to the 15th anniversary of This Won't Hurt. I mean, that record, you can listen to that record once, and there's going to be at least 2 songs, if not more songs, that are you can like hum to, even though you're just listening to it for the first time. You can start
that's always kind of been, for the most part, my favorite kind of music. You know what I mean? Like stuff that like kind of, when the song is over, you're humming it for maybe even days. It's just you're singing it in your head. I like stuff like that a lot. I think that's it's meaningful to me. Everybody's different too. Like some people just might just want like a crazy arrangement or like this wild musicianship. But to me, it's just like, I want something that sticks with me after the song's over. And that's kind of always what I've tried to strive for. And like just all my favorite bands have that for me. So I wanted to do that with our band.
You don't have to be doing crazy,
Took me a minute
crazy
to catch
guitar
that.
licks and things like that to be
But
impressive.
I don't knock it either, though, man.
No.
I think it's got its place. Like, there's
Yeah.
people that like it, and sometimes I do too. Like the band No Means No. I think they're a pretty cool band. I see them. I'm like, wow, man, this is just insane. The musicianship is insane. Like, is it the kind of record I'm going to play a lot? No. Is it, if I hear it once in a while, am I going to appreciate it and like it? Yeah, I do. I really do. I like all kinds of stuff. But just the stuff with like, I don't know, big hooks has always kind of been my favorite. So whatever, for whatever reason, just how I'm built.
And we were talking about album covers and cover art.
Right.
And
right.
do you remember the concept behind This Won't Hurt?
Yeah, we had we were doing a video, and we have a guy that was shooting it. In the video, he had the clock, and he put it there, and he someone had the idea of lighting it on fire, but he got like a good shot of it, and I don't know, I just really liked it. It kind of, I'm like, oh, it's kind of cool, and I think he and a bunch of us were like, took a shot of something. Oh, this won't hurt. And then
That was the saying that they would say.
And took the drink, and
before
then
taking
a
shot.
It for whatever reason, that's just what became
That's probably where it came from.
the name of the album. So then it
Okay.
just turned into it from that.
Okay.
Just from doing like a couple shots or whatever. So that was that.
And the clock, I feel like, does tie in well with some of the themes of the songs, talking about, I forget exactly how you can't remember the exact lyrics offhand, but talking about are you
Getting
Oh,
older.
getting
getting older? Yeah.
Yeah, that
So
was 20
kinda-
years ago too. So think about how it is now.
Yeah. Well, another thing I was thinking about when I was listening to
Yeah.
I Believe,
Yeah.
the telephone line reference was just like, do they have telephone lines anymore?
Yeah.
But I feel like that was
There were cell phones at that time too.
right.
And they were common, but there were still landlines too.
Yeah.
Show has
But you'll
started.
you'll still see the wires running on the poles as you drive down the road.
Right.
Yeah, but are they telephone wires or are they electric wires? You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
as a guy who did that for 30 years,
did you? Oh,
I could tell you
can
exactly
tell me?
what they are.
Yeah. So are there still telephone?
Yes.
Are
Well,
they
but
used
they're-
for anything?
Yeah, they're used mostly for
For internet? Okay.
I mean, there are a couple grandma and grandpas who still have a phone, but
Yeah.
I think when I
generally
wrote
speaking,
the
it's internet.
song, I wasn't like thinking about telephone wires versus electric
No.
wires. To me, they were just telephone wires. But and the point of it was to send the message to
Right.
my loved one that was
Yes.
far away through the telephone wire.
Yes. Great song. By the
Thank
way.
you. Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of the point of that.
And I love that song because it's unexpected when you're listening through the album, and then all of a sudden that song comes, and you're like, "Oh, this is."
Well,
this
I'm
is
glad you
nice.
liked that because
did.
Yeah, we like doing that. I think I like doing that as not only as a listener of music, but as a musician as well. I just there's a set thing that I do and that we do, and then every once in a while, just kind of like throwing in something maybe unexpected.
Yeah.
As long as the song's good.
That's all right.
That's
what
my
matters.
rule. I want a good song first, and if it's unexpected, that's fine. But if the song is just kind of okay, and you're just trying to throw a curveball and it's not landing in the strike zone, fucking get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my view on that.
That's how I am too, because I'll listen to songs from different genres, and it'll just be a particular song, and I'm just going going back to the hook, and I'm like, the hook in this song is incredible. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't care if it's a metal song or a pop song.
But
It's,
I'm also, and not everybody's like this, but I think Simon is. I also really appreciate what's being said in a song. The older I get, the more I appreciate that element. When I was younger, I would just kind of like put on a record, and I just liked the vibe of a record. And it was, and it's still that way to this day. Like the music sucks me in first, and then lyrics suck me in second. But the older I get, it's funny. It's starting to be right there, like side by side, where it used to be I wouldn't hear lyrics till like kind of long after the fact, and then I'd start hearing the lyrics, and then it would either improve the song a little bit, or it would detract a little bit. It would usually improve it though,
Yeah.
depending on it. But now I really hear words a lot now, and where I didn't used to.
Yeah, it was kind of those were kind of like an afterthought. You know, it was like, oh, this sounds cool.
Doesn't even have to be like anything elaborate. Is
Is it well
the
put together?
Is the message getting through? And if the message is getting through, it's kind of like I feel like the song's just better.
Instead of
That's
just
kind of the way I look at it now. I didn't used to look at it that way when I was younger, but I do now.
no, I
So
get
I'm
what you're saying.
changing a little bit in terms of that.
Well, that just means we'll be excited whenever a new Methadones song or record gets released. You know,
yeah.
so
Then if you have a great arrangement, a great hook, all that, you can say something simple, and then all that melody and arrangement, and it just gives it a different level of complexity too. So
Yeah.
I love that as well. So
Yeah.
All right.
well,
Yeah, this was a good conversation. I
Yeah.
appreciate you having us.
this has been fun, and I really appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
No,
Thanks for the pizza.
Yeah, of course. I hope. Was it approved? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Yeah, is it? Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, I don't know if I've had their frozen.
Next
pizza,
time, bring
but
some Northside's pizza.
Hey, you tell me what you want. I'll bring it next time.
Connie's and Home Run Inn, those are the South Side staples.
Yes, they
On the
are.
North Side, we don't have like something like that so much, you know.
We'll do
I mean,
some
we got
research.
like Pete's or
Yeah.
What's that?
Vito and is that a North Side thing? Yeah, I was thinking South Side.
With you, how could it be wrong? But before I even listened
thanks to the Methadones for being on Pop Punk and Pizza podcast. I had such a killer time talking with them before their show at Reggies in Chicago earlier this month. Also, huge shout out to Katie Hovland for setting up this interview. She's literally one of the sweetest publicists I've ever met. And I don't meet too many publicists in person. So that was a nice treat. Most publicists I work with for the podcast, they don't live in Chicago. They live elsewhere, and they're usually not in Chicago for anything. So that was an extra special treat. So thank you so much to Katie for being so sweet. And then thank you for listening to Pop Punk and Pizza. I'm Jacques LaMore. I really enjoyed having a slice with you as always. Make sure you subscribe, follow, like, etc. on all the podcast and social media platforms. You can find us at all of them at Pop Punk Pizza Pod. That goes for our website too, poppunkpizzapod.com. You can shop some rad merch there and help us keep the lights on, and also become a patron for as little as $2 a month. That's all it costs to support the show, and it really does go a long way. Please take good care of yourself. Drink lots of water in this summer heat. Enjoy some good pizza somewhere too. Try someplace new. And I'll talk with you soon. I love and appreciate you very much, all right? Take care.
Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. Hey,